That they've been trying to evacuate most of the town of West. Have you heard about that, or just kind of the initial area around that blast site?
My understanding that it was the initial area around that fertilizer plant that they were really worried about. Of course, there's a huge problem right now with traffic gridlock in the area. I-35 is shut down, and I know that our crews responding to this scene have had some trouble getting in, but a huge logistical nightmare trying to tend to all the injured right now.
Scott Gordon on the phone for us. Thank you for that information, Scott. Here's what you're looking at once again. This is a live picture from Chopper 5 from the community of West. This is the football field that was being used as a triage area, now being evacuated. And as the chopper shot pulls out here, you can see the huge number of police and firefighters and emergency responders that have come to the help of this community about 70 miles south of DFW.
Yeah, that's right. And Governor Rick Perry, obviously, he's following this. He just released this statement right here regarding the incident in West Texas. He said, quote, "We are monitoring developments and gathering information as details continue to emerge about this incident. We have also mobilized state resources to help local authorities. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of West and the first responders on that scene." I've also heard reports on Twitter, social media, things like that. Obviously, the Red Cross is responding. Taking a live look at Chopper 5 right now.
Shot.
Right there. That appears to be, what, a building, some trees on fire. And you see some flashing lights, but there's so many structures on fire. Like Scott mentioned, a six-block radius around this blast site.
Devastated in this town. Field so is very close to the scene of the first explosion. They're worried about a second explosion, and that's why they were trying to get everybody out of there as quickly as they can.
Yeah, that's right. And even our own crew, Ben Russell, you saw him just a few minutes ago. He's on the ground now. We are actually pulling him back to make sure he is safe. We want to make sure our crews are safe as we're bringing you this information. And I've been on the phone with hospitals all night. So if you have loved ones that live in the town of West, maybe relatives, family, friends, right now, all surrounding hospitals are all hands on deck.
Fire still raging in West. Guys, do we have the still shots earlier of the initial explosion? Those are absolutely extraordinary. All right, here's a live picture from Chopper 5. Flames still raging in the community of West. And this is what we've seen over and over tonight as they try to cope with this situation. But as I was mentioning, the initial photographs that we got on social media of this explosion were incredible. A giant mushroom cloud rising over West. Here's a fire, obviously. These are some of the first images when this explosion happened, but this is the image here that most struck me. You can see the power, the scale of this explosion. This happened once again just before 8 o'clock tonight. Look at this rising over the Sonic there in the town of West.
It is just incredible. And that image was seen from miles around. As you take a live look at Chopper 5, just the impact that's going on right now. But on the phone live with us, we have Steve Cheney, and you're from the Tarrant County Horticultural Center, I believe, Steve, and you're kind of an expert. Like I said, this happened at a fertilizer plant. So what can you tell us about those types of plants and how volatile they are when something like this happens?
Well, it just depends on what manufacturer they're making and what percentage they're making. But ammonium nitrate, which is 34% nitrogen, is probably the most volatile of any of the fertilizers. All of them having nitrogen have some volatility, but when you mix ammonia and nitrates together, that's when you get the really bad stuff. That's
Steve,
what they use.
Yeah, it is frightening to draw this parallel, but this sounds to me like the same kinds of ingredients that were in that powerful Oklahoma City bomb. Is that correct?
Yes, and it's a wonderful fertilizer, but it's a very explosive, volatile type fertilizer. I don't know that they were making that or blending it there, but anytime you use nitrogen, it's a volatile gas.
And Steve, we've been talking about just how powerful this was. People as far away as Arlington, Waxahachie thought this felt like an earthquake. Are you surprised at the images you're seeing? Or just kind of explain to our viewers who aren't familiar with this how powerful this is, how volatile it is, and how much it can explode.
Well, it is. When you look at the Oklahoma City bombing, that was all in the back of a Ryder truck with several, things of diesel fuel. So it doesn't take very much at all. As a kid growing up on a farm, we mixed ammonium nitrate and diesel in a Coke bottle, put a lid on it, and blew stumps out of the ground. So it's a very volatile, and it doesn't take very much at all. And
Steve,
so when you get into a manufacturing plant that's making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds, you can really have a huge explosion.
Steve Cheney, thank you so much. We appreciate you helping us understand the situation here. Let's go now to NBC5's Ben Russell. He is on the ground in West. Ben, what's the update?
Well, I can tell you at this point, Brian, the fires continue to burn in the area, perhaps a few hundred yards away from the initial point of the blast. What we're looking at is what we believe to be either barns or other outbuildings, not homes. That point I cannot confirm yet at this point, but just judging on the fencing that I see, this does not appear to be a home. To the left of that, in the distance farther away, that is another fire which is raging as well. This area is one that we have seen emergency personnel coming through. It is one where they are still working to try to control the situation. Again, I had shown you before what I thought was the roof of a building. Instead, I believe it to be part of a silo, perhaps a grain silo or so in the distance. But I also want to show you this. This is something on the ground. I can't quite place this. Perhaps someone else could. This looks to be part of some kind of machinery, and I couldn't lift this if I tried. And to give you some perspective, again, this is what I could not lift, and way off in the distance, far beyond the point where you see the first emergency lights, where you see the second set of emergency lights, perhaps that is the source of the blast. That just speaks very much to just how strong the situation is. Again, we've been very impressed and obviously saddened to see damage like this, what we're looking at here, part of, again, what I thought was a roof, but now appears to be part of a grain or perhaps some other kind of silo lying on top of a truck. This is this silo that we believe is the source of all this aluminum that's lying out throughout this area. And as we pan to the left and show you farther off in the distance, there are more fires that are burning now. We can see the emergency personnel in this area. There's perhaps other vehicles that have been damaged by some of the debris. This is still very much an active scene. At this point, the mood and the mannerisms of the firefighters that we've seen has been very calm. Again, this is what we were talking about as far as a silo here. We can see on the ground perhaps what was inside some kind of a grain or something along those lines.
All right, Ben.
Again, this is still very much a developing situation, but you can see the devastation.
Right. Ben, we understand that is a very dangerous situation. We're going to ask you to reposition, so we're going to let you go. Please get to a safe location, and we'll check back with you a little bit later in our coverage.
Yeah, that's right. And right now we have Anita Foster on the phone with the Red Cross, I believe. So, Anita, what can you tell us about getting your crews in there to try and help these folks right now in West Texas?
Well, obviously, I think your viewers can see the challenges that are, being experienced by the people in this community. Just a tough situation. We're going to do everything that we can do as a nation to make sure that they're okay. So right now, our number one objective is meeting with emergency management right now to identify shelter locations. We're working hand with the teams down in Austin. This is, tonight going to be important that we find a place for people to go, but this is going to be days and days on end as people need help. So we're just going to do everything that we possibly can for tonight and into the coming days that as we're trying to make our way to the area, we're experiencing what a lot of other people are, and that's that I-35 is pretty much shut down, and it's going to be a little while before services can get up and running. But we're here. We're on our way from both sides of the state to make sure that these families that are really experiencing a horrible, horrible day get as much help as they need.
Yeah, Anita Foster with the Red Cross. Anita, thank you for the work that you do, and good